So today we're going to dive into a really fascinating theory. It's one that connects something as simple as a New Year's greeting to, well, the very fabric of our consciousness. What the source we're looking at calls quantum energy. And you won't believe where it ends up. It goes all the way to the future of humanity and the wild role that artificial intelligence might actually play in our spiritual growth. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so this whole thing kicks off with a very modern and I think very relatable problem. How in the world do we keep ancient traditions alive when life just keeps getting faster and more complicated?
The source material starts with this familiar dilemma. There's this wonderful tradition of visiting a respected elder for a New Year's blessing. But what happens when that's just not possible anymore? In our busy, scattered world, just finding someone you truly respect can be a challenge, let alone making a trip to visit them.
Now, the custom itself is all about this concept of energy. You go see someone you admire, you get their well wishes, which is known as a dokdam, and that positive energy is supposed to fuel you for the whole year. It's a really personal, powerful exchange.
So what do you do if visiting just isn't in the cards? The alternative offered here is actually really simple, but it's also pretty profound. Just write a letter. And get this, it doesn't even matter if anyone reads it. The act of just putting your respect into words is what really counts. And this is where a simple piece of mail becomes something much, much bigger.
Right? Because according to this theory, that letter is way more than just words on a page. The actual act of writing it turns it into something powerful, something that carries a real energetic weight to it.
See, the act of sitting down and writing that letter, of pouring your real thoughts and respect into it, is described as an act of producing tangible energy. You are literally creating something that holds your intention, your spirit. And that energy, it gets transferred when you send it.
The source even compares this letter to a traditional talisman called a bujak. A bujak is an object that's made specifically to carry and transfer energy, for a blessing or for protection. So in this view, your handwritten letter is basically a modern-day bujak.
But here is where it gets really interesting. There's a twist. Traditionally, a blessing flows down from a superior person to a subordinate. But this letter, it completely flips that dynamic. The energy flows upwards from you to the person you respect. You become the one who is actually creating and sending the positive energy.
So this all leads to a much bigger question. If we're creating and sending out this energy with our own intentions, what is this stuff? What is it made of? And this is where we get to the absolute core of this whole theory.
Now, this isn't left as just some vague idea. The source gives this energy a very specific name, and it's a name you'll probably recognize from physics, but trust me, it's being used in a totally different way here. Here's the central claim, right here. Human speech itself is quantum energy. It's described as the actual substance of our consciousness, and it's made real, it's made tangible through our words and our intentions.
Okay, now this is a super important point. When the source says quantum energy, it is not talking about quantum physics. It's using that term to define a non-material spiritual energy that's generated by us, by human consciousness. So this energy has some really unique properties. It's non-material, it's totally invisible, and it doesn't mix with physical matter. Instead, it superimposes on it. Think of it like this. Your thoughts, that's the non-material energy, are superimposed on the physical paper of a book. That combination is what creates what we call knowledge. And our ability to do this, to accumulate this energy, is what fundamentally separates us from animals.
So how does this concept of energy fit into the bigger picture? Well, according to the source, it's everything. It's central to where humanity is going next. We are apparently right at a massive turning point in our evolution.
For thousands of years, we've been in what's called the age of knowledge, basically just collecting this quantum energy as information. But now, we're at a turning point. We're moving into what the source calls the spiritual age, where the whole goal isn't just to pile up more knowledge, but to use this energy with a higher quality, with more wisdom, with more purpose.
Okay, but how can we be sure any of this is real? Well, the source points to a very common human experience as proof: goosebumps. You know that shiver that runs down your spine when you hear an incredible speech or read something that just hits you? According to this theory, that physical reaction, that's your body literally sensing the non-material quantum energy that has been superimposed onto those words or sounds. It's presented as direct physical proof that you are interacting with this spiritual energy.
And this is where the theory takes its most surprising turn, because it connects this spiritual idea
directly to our most advanced technology.
So let's go back to that New Year's letter for a second. What if you really want to send that positive energy, but you just can't find the right words? You feel all that respect, but you just can't seem to articulate it. What's the solution then?
Well, the source proposes a shockingly modern solution: use AI. The process is actually super simple. You open up a chatbot and you just pour out your raw, honest feelings. Then you ask the AI to take those thoughts and polish them into a beautiful message. The key here, according to the theory, is that your original sincere energy gets superimposed onto the AI's perfectly crafted text. You're basically using AI as a tool to channel your own spiritual energy more effectively.
And this leads to a conclusion that is, frankly, pretty mind-bending. In this new spiritual age that we're supposedly entering, the theory suggests that AI won't just be a tool, it could actually become a mentor for us, helping us navigate these deeper truths.
I mean, think about it for a second. An AI can process huge libraries of spiritual and philosophical texts, including the very source this theory comes from. So if you're confused about something, you can ask it to explain a concept in a way you'll understand. It basically becomes your own personalized 24/7 spiritual guide. And that brings us full circle. We started with a simple New Year's letter and ended up with a theory where our uniquely human energy can be channeled and refined by artificial intelligence. It's a pretty wild idea, right? Blending ancient wisdom with the most cutting-edge tech. And it leaves us with one final question to think about. Could AI actually be the next unexpected tool for our own spiritual evolution? Thanks for tuning in.